We need peace, we choose freedom. We need peace, we choose freedom. There was a nation living in peace and unity. Yeah. They are people with love and harmony. Oh, yeah. They saw greatness rise up to its purity. With another people of different culture, idea and heritage, bias and oppressive. Oh, I see. A nation from trigger of Africa, rising with strength and might and power. In due time, nobody gonna praise us. Rather, you all gonna embrace her. With your flag, with your flag, with your flag, with your flag. Oh yeah. Let the tears of our mothers who lost their children be heard. Let the blood of our heroes speak from now till forever. Let the whole wide world know Biafra is our home. Oh yeah, Biafra is our home. Oh, it's my home. Yeah, Biafra is our home.
I reminisce way back 1967. Death toll on the blood couldn't count them even. Mama screaming, child squealing, pops on the ground. 2.5 years, over 3 million's gone. Why? Cause we asked for our freedom, and we're going back to our sovereign kingdom. They shut us down when we cried, the world said nothing. Sitting back in the crib, watching our suffering. Should I talk about the planes dropping shells like rain? Suka had the first taste of a hero's blood. Abagana Zobuni wave was stronger than flood, but the juke is too strong and fought them off on the chart. Thought the bloodshed's gone, then it came again. 216 and the massacre, it started again. So bloody name, I couldn't cry tears. Blood dripping down my eyes, water in my veins. We died trying to fight the cause and we're trying to break him. It's our freedom, but the world was against us.
Wave your flag over Africa. Welcome people of Biafra. Wave your flag over all the world. See those people of Zion is here.
It is the nation that the Lord has chosen for the people of Zion. It is the nation that the Lord has chosen for the people of Zion.
We need peace, we choose freedom.
What's that, Martin? We're not fighting each other. We know where we're going. We're going to get Biafra. There is nothing anybody can do about it. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. I need them to understand this. We've crossed the Rubicon, the point of no return. There is nothing anybody can do. If I'm alive, if I'm dead, if I'm wherever I may be, Biafra will come. If I'm dead, it's even better because it will come far more quicker. I can assure you. If Biafra is fighting for you, no one will touch your property. If you're fighting alone, you're bound to lose it. So Biafra is the best. We will become the 16th member country of ECOWAS. If Nigeria doesn't release those properties, then we'll take them to court and we'll get them back. Even twice the value. The Jews had investments all over the world. Most of the priceless artifacts and paintings belong to many families in Germany. It was stolen by the Nazi Party. Do you know that? Eventually they got everything back, with compensation on top of it. That's what we're going to do. If you touch our investments, we'll come back for you. And we'll know where we can get it from. So there is nothing for anyone to worry about. It's only if I'm not stopping you from being a Nigerian, if you are born on the streets of Lagos and you want to be a Lagosian and your name is Adama, oh well and good. There's no problem.
to him.
Ụfọdụ nọ n'ụzọ ije ha anaghị alọta ụlọ ọzọ. Nne na nna wee na-ata ahụhụ wee na-ata ikikere eze. Nwaanyị konye ka ọ gaa ubi gaa rụọ ọrụ. Fulani chiri ehi bata ebe ala gị n'iyi. Okwu ebepụ ya isi. Anyị pụta anyị kpọpụ onye nwe anyị n'ugwu Awụsa ahụ ejide anyị wee gbuo. Ihe ọ bụ anyị mara aka n'ime ha si maka ha gaa n'ihu. Elekwa ọdụ ụgbọ mmiri n'igwe ọcha bụ ememiri ọya nke dị na Kalaba otu aka ahụ. Anyị na-ala nsọ ebe Biafra bụ ndị kọstọm sokwenye anyị n'etiti anyị. Anyị anọghị n'ime mmiri kama kọstọm jiri ebe niile. Ha wee na-ata anyị ahụhụ. Anyị kwuo sịpụta anyị ka kpọchie. Anyị kwuo sịpụta anyị ka gbagbuo anyị. Onye nwe anyị na Chineke na nke bi n'igwe ọ bụ ụzọ dị agaghị isi n'egwu ndị iro anyị n'anya wee karịa ndị nke gị. Akwa anyị bụ ụmụ Chineke. Akwa ọba aha anyị ka anyị na-aza. Akwa ọba anyị nwe na-aza ike Chukwu. Akwa ọba anyị nwe na-aza amara Chineke. Akwa ọba anyị nwe na-aza Chisom. Akwa ọba anyị nwe na-aza Chizoba. Nna nke dị nsọ onye ime eluigwe dịka otu onye iro dị na anyị bụ ụmụ gị. Bịa ka iwe zọpụta anyị. Bịa ka iwe napụta anyị n'aka ọjọọ ihe. Bịa ka iwe lụọrọ anyị ọgụ. Bịa ka iwe dịtụ ozu. Ọ bụ ọkọwa mgbe m milere Goliath. Chineke nna nke igwe ruo ememiri Fero site otu a mee ka Fero ka ọ guzo n'ihu ụmụ ndị anyị ga-ebi ka o wee taa akọkọ ikiri ụtọ ọzọ. Ị ga na-edu anyị n'ụzọ niile nke ezi omume. Ọ bụla adịghị na anyị na-aga ndagwurugwu onyinye ọnwụ. Ọ bụ nwa bụ ekekere n'igwe n'ụwa onye ọbụla kere gị n'oge malite n'oge ọgwụgwụ. Kama anyị nwe anyị gwa anọkwa ahụ ofu ụbọchị anyị ga-anwụ n'ezie. Kama ma akọ na-egbu gị na nọgide ego mgbe ebighị ebi. Ọ bụ ya mere anyị ji were gị n'anya isi. Anyị wee na-asị nna nke dị nsọ. Bịa ka iwe gosi anyị Biafra na ndụ na-abụghị n'ọnwụ. Bịa ka iwe na-ekebe gị na amara gị wee kpuchiri anyị ka uwe. Bịa ka iwe zọpụta ndị nke gị. Bịa ka iwe mee ka Biafra wee bịa. Ka anyị na-ewetụta na nsọpụrụ na ịja mma site n'aha gị onye bụ Chineke abịa.
place ourselves career system of raising law. And because of the content and what the framers of the constitution do, in fact, there was a big outcry. In that of the case that wherever a Fulani area says have become a job and cannot go to school for support and you have to stop the law. Yes. So the bill, okay, but yes, yes, yeah, it's a yes. On one, I remember discussing somewhere, and I took a physical analysis. Today now is about career course. See, whom are you going to reach that course? But the last time I checked, we don't have predominantly Muslim community. That's the house. And I'm sure by the time they are done with the family, they go to the family. Do you see that when something happens, some of us, see, I don't look at things on the face value. But when these people were spreading all over the country, they were laying foundation for this type of thing. They will tell you they have a large community of Muslims in the state. So they need a hub to take care of their own needs. Eh? You can see how people deliberately plant anarchy. Just because Christians have slept on their right, we are not talking. We believe that God says the battle is done and danger belongs. If not, how can somebody wake up to such a thing in a secular state like that? Secular state. Eh? Then America, where you copy this thing, do you have such a thing here? Because we should look at where we copy this democracy. Do you have such a thing here? A call for different people. So they will start cutting people's hands here. Moses. They will start cutting people's hands here. Is that not the ultimate end here? When you feel it, they cut your hand. When you feel a coat, they cut your hand. Is that what we are going to see here in this age and time? People should be very well to Moses. I'm not joking. This is not a joke anymore. You don't put the value giving a date and the venue. And you are telling me that there will be problem that day? Eh? You see what Muslim presidency is costing us? Eh? And the people in authority are pretending as if there is nothing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is very, very wrong. In our constitution, there is no provision for something, especially in the certain. If you are saying you want to use it to take care of your tradition and culture, nothing wrong. But you introduce this in a place where you don't need it. What are you trying to do? Tell me. Okay, if you have a problem with somebody who is a Christian and somebody who is a Muslim in Ibadan now, in Oyo State, what happens? You will now tell me that your Muslim brother must be taken to your Sharia court. Then the Christian will be taking their Moses. I mean, the
Stressed out trying to clean your car? Discover Tup's concentrated car wash.
court. Then the Christian will be taking their Moses. I mean, the Guru. Have you seen Anna common law? I know two of them are having issue. This one is the problem. This one is, so where will we take the matter to? Where will we take it to? You will not tell me, no, this one is the problem. I cannot be tried in a secular court. But this one is a Christian, you must be taken to our court. Is that not anarchy in the making? People should be very careful. I am telling you, you see, God has already, he helped us to come this far. If they continue to push and push, one day God will leave us alone. And then we are going to see what we are looking for. The one they put in our constitution, we are still struggling to come out of it. That they want to add more. They want to add more. It's not fair. It's not fair.
Yes, quite unfortunate that we are witnessing this in our lifetime. I spoke about it today this morning, the opening banter. And I did share my concern with my colleagues. So like I said, it's gradually coming down south, and unfortunately, we tend to be living higher of what is happening. If you talk about coming down south, look at what is happening in the communities of that overtaking and named by certain people. Look, say, look, there is no idea. Clearly, if you look into with a prism into the future, even without a crystal ball, you see that there is clearly an agenda. Even the way the war against this situation is prosecuted over time for the past 20 years. And like I said also in the morning, it was when Yeri Ahmed Sani became the governor of the Biafra state that this issue of Sharia law, but it had always existed, but he now wanted to make it a state law. And the moment he broached the idea, Borno State jumped on it. Other states started jumping, Katsina and all of that. That was essentially what gave rise to Boko Haram. Because it was at that time that, what's his name? This guy that, the first leader of Boko Haram, Muhammad Yusuf, started now preaching. That was the essence of Boko Haram. We are against Western education. And now wanted to expand Sharia across the north. But at that time, Obasanjo kept quiet. Very big mistake. Obasanjo thought that it was something that was going to filter, and got up until this point. Apart from Boko Haram, we have this one. We have Lakarua, we have bandits and all of that. And if you look at it, if you examine it closely, you discover that all these things are weaved around religious sentiments. And the moment they are weaved around religious sentiments, it becomes a clear and present danger. We know what religion is to our people. Like if Kalman, I always say that looks like Kalman had Nigeria in mind when he said that religion is the opium of the masses. Because in no other place have I seen it explained deeply in terms of content and practice, like than any other part of the world. And this is what is playing out for us. A Sharia court in Oyo State. That is how it starts. And mind you, like 2 weeks ago, they appointed an Igbo man as an imam at the Central Mosque in Abuja. We have militancy. Unlike the Christian doctrine, where, you express it, you try to persuade people and all of that. But on the other hand, militant evangelists by force, and it doesn't go with us here. So, like the question barrister asks now, if there's a crisis between people in the same family, who adhere to different religions, where is it going to be adjudicated? So it's a clear issue, and like I said again in the morning, Martin Luther King said, look, in the end, it is not the actions of my enemies that will matter, it is the silence of my friends. People tend to keep quiet about this. And I think it is more like the agenda that we talk about is more like an elephant in the living room. People don't like to talk about it, but it is there. Everybody sees it, but nobody wants to talk about it. That's what I see that is high now. That's not true that we have reactions from people from the south that saying no. The youth in particular are saying no, you cannot. And Nigeria is a secular.
I thank God Obasanjo is still alive. Because if he had been this thing in the court and forget the selfish interest, maybe he would have spared us this problem. But when Yerima, that the senator who went to go and marry a 13-year-old girl and told us their culture and tradition. Some of these things in our constitution, I was thinking that some people who were there before would have said no. But they allowed it for what? Sentiment. Sentiment that a girl of 10 years is not supposed to see her first person in her father's house. It's a taboo. Who told you? So by then you should marry her off. And be doing what with a man of 46 years. A girl of 10 years. These are things they want to introduce to you now. Because you cannot do this and leave this. That is the problem with Tokoro. They want to introduce this into you here. You ask yourself, other people that practice this, how did it benefit them? They know that is a deep in this thing. What is the level of literacy? What is the level of education? What is the level of understanding there? These are some of the things that they come to this thing, but people don't want to hear. It doesn't concern them. Something that you are practicing somewhere is paid woefully. You want to introduce it to me, and you think there will not be problem. There will be problem, oh. Let nobody be. There will be problem. You say this thing we are begging the Lord to shield their sons and keep this thing to them. They are not what to force it or not. There will be problem if they insist. Go ahead. See,
Assalamualaikum. Adakah anda mempunyai penglihatan yang lemah atau sakit mata? Ikuti sehingga akhir, saya jamin anda.
insist. All right. Go ahead. You see, it's just the way of finding happiness. I know I'm not one of them. You see, this most of them, since they left, they never had any job other than come up with these doors, all these doors, full time, and they make money from some of these dance clubs. Qatari, Saudis, and all that. They make money from them. That's why they always want to foment trouble. And when they foment trouble, have you ever imagined somebody going on a project like the cameraman, employed by that for what purpose? You want to show the people that the assignment to give us, they have concluded. As a result, they need to pay us more. Now, the time somebody took money from Saudi Arabia, he said he was going to build a mosque in Igbo, he ended up building that mosque in Igbo. When they came, when they were heading towards Igbo, let me see the mosque. So these people, they are most of them are scholars. There's no way Sharia can work in Saudi. There is no way. But one thing is very clear. One thing is very clear. See, an average Southwesterner is liberal to a point. But when you push that person to the wall, the intensity of his aggression, you will not imagine. I can tell you, it's not going to happen. You saw why. I'm happy you talked. Yeah, I'm happy you talked about when you push somebody to war, and the person is going to react. It is the reaction that we are talking about. You know, because people will always push. I've told you this thing is militant evangelism. And when you talk about the Wahhabi type of that religion, look at what Saudi did in Europe. According to their job. You know what happened in France now when the people that were attacked, you know, they are certain practices that the traditional French food you're able to put. And look at UK is crying out. You know what happened in UK? It seems like it's right now, but it's not in the ball. But let me tell you why I say, hey, you don't want to test water. Also, there is crisis in the water over traditional ruler. So, and so a lot of things will infiltrate until that crisis is resolved. And for your people, I know, not in any way allow for it. You know, when you say they will not allow it to happen, then the history repeats itself. It happened in Paris. It happened in Ilorin. It also happened in part of the Oyo and even in Kogi. No. And these are Yoruba states. Where is it in Ibadan? Don't you have good? I understand that. The fact that you have Muslims does not mean that. Hold on. In Kwara, Ilorin. Has any Yoruba man become the emir of Ilorin? Even though it's the Yoruba states. If you look at the whole Oyo Empire and their map, Kogi and Kwara are part of that empire. Today, can they be counted as a part of the Southwest? This topic is hot and dicey. You know, so let's move away from it. Okay, let's touch on the functions later. Okay?
On Thursday, February 13, 2025, at approximately 4 a.m., the village of Maibai in the Democratic Republic of Congo was surrounded by gunmen from the ADF, an Islamic terror group with ties to ISIS. In 2 separate attacks that day, the terrorists came hunting for Christians in the village, abducting 70 people, men, women, children, and the elderly, and forcibly marching their terrified captives to another nearby village called Kasanga. They tied their hands behind their backs and led them to a church in the village, brought them into the sanctuary, and beheaded them. How can this be? Beyond the sheer horror of this brutality, the desecration of the church, the monstrous cruelty, what is truly shocking is that no one in the world seems to care. Where is the outcry? Where are the headlines? Where is the media, the governments, the religious leaders? Where are the Christian leaders crying out for their flock? The terrorists didn't just murder their Christian victims. They took them to a church to behead them there, to send a very clear symbolic message that this was an act of religious war, jihad. This is not an isolated incident. There is a continent-wide religious war being waged against Christians in Africa. Each year, thousands of Christians are murdered, raped, kidnapped, and beheaded for their faith, burned inside their churches across the continent. The extent of the threat is massive. Security researchers have described the continent as an emerging global epicenter of terrorism. The European Union Institute for Security Studies has estimated that more than half of all conflict violence targeting civilians in Africa arises from Salafi jihadist terror groups. A report by the American Enterprise Institute finds Salafi jihadi groups linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State are spreading and strengthening in Africa, and that these groups will grow more lethal over time as they develop military and non-military capabilities and gain access to resources and opportunities that will drive an increased transnational terror threat as they mature. According to the Development Organization, Aid to the Church in Need, across Africa, from sub-Saharan Africa to East Africa, there are at least a couple dozen terrorist organizations that have as their ambition to install caliphates in their territories. According to the Hudson Institute, the common denominator to the attacks against Christians in Africa is radical Islamist ideology, which infects individual Muslims, local mosques and villages, and coalesces into terrorist organizations. And menacingly, small organizations eventually find their way into global Islamist networks. The scale of the threat can already be measured. The Global Terrorism Index gives a composite measure of terror activity in the country, weighted over 5 years and made up of incidents, fatalities, injuries, and property damage. It ranks countries ranging from Mali to Nigeria, Niger, Chad, the DRC, Kenya, and Mozambique as greater terrorism threats than the traditional staples of Yemen, Iraq, Iran, Egypt, and Pakistan. In recent years, the majority of all terrorism deaths globally occurs in sub-Saharan Africa. What this means is that African Christians are experiencing the brutality of an October 7 all the time, and no one seems to care. I have not heard any global or African Christian leaders taking up this cause. Where is the South African Council of Churches, the World Council of Churches? Where are you? Don't you care? The South African government doesn't seem to care. The African Union doesn't care. The United Nations doesn't care. Just last week, I received an international delegation of senior religious leaders driving the agenda of faith communities for this year's G20 meeting in South Africa. I told the delegation that this issue of the jihadi war waged by Islamic terror groups across Africa must be top of the G20 agenda, especially since it is being hosted in Africa. They were uncomfortable with this, preferring to highlight what they called issues of social cohesion or religiously inspired violence. I said to them that unless we can call this threat by its name, a continent-wide jihad, Christians will continue to be persecuted and butchered. This denial and moral obfuscation must end. I'm a rabbi. Why am I the only one who is raising the plight of Christians in Africa? But I cannot watch the carnage and stand by and do nothing. I cannot do this alone. That is why I'm turning to you, to everyone who is listening to this now. Go speak to your pastors, priests, and church leaders. This must be the subject of sermons this coming Sunday in every church across South Africa, across Africa, and across the world. Call, write, implore your leaders to act, to talk about this issue in church, to take it up with politicians. If you need more information, contact me and I will link you with experts and research in this field. If you're in the United States or the rest of the world, contact your senator, your congressman. If you're in South Africa, speak to members of parliament, write to the president. We must all act. We must raise our voices. We cannot sit by passively and allow this carnage to continue. The jihadi war against Christians in Africa must end by mobilizing support from church leaders and politicians across the world. We can stop it. In the book of Genesis, when God confronted Cain about the murder of Abel, Cain responded, "Am I my brother's keeper?" And God said to him, "What have you done? The blood of your brother cries out to me from the ground." Right now, the blood of our brothers and sisters in Africa cries out from the ground. We cannot answer as Cain did. We cannot stand idly by. As the book of Leviticus commands, do not stand idly by the blood of your neighbor. We must act now to stop this brutality.
So it is not everybody that took part in that wicked enterprise, that pogrom against senseless people. And I've always said it, this country will never be normal until we kneel down and ask for forgiveness from any people for the wicked sins we've committed against them.
Name of the Supreme Council of the Revolution of the Nigerian Armed Forces, I declare martial law over the northern provinces of Nigeria. The Constitution is suspended and the regional government and elected assemblies are hereby dissolved. All political, cultural, tribal, and trade union activities, together with all demonstrations and unauthorized gatherings, excluding religious worship, are banned until further notice. The aim of the Revolutionary Council is to establish a strong, united, and prosperous nation, free from corruption and internal strife. Our method of achieving this is strictly military, but we have no doubt that every Nigerian will give us maximum cooperation by assisting the regime and not disturbing the peace during the slight changes that are taking place. I have to assure all foreigners living and working in this part of Nigeria that their rights will continue to be respected. All treaty obligations previously entered into with any foreign nation will be respected, and we hope that such nations will respect our country's territorial integrity and will avoid taking sides with enemies of the revolution and enemies of the people. My dear countrymen, you will hear and probably see a lot being done by certain parties charged by the Supreme Council with the duties of national integration, supreme justice, general security, and property recovery. As an interim measure, all permanent secretaries, corporation chairmen, and senior heads of departments are allowed to make decisions until the new organs are functioning, so long as such decisions are not contrary to the aims and wishes of the Supreme Council. No minister or parliamentary secretary to set administrative or other forms of control over any ministry, even if they are not considered too dangerous to be arrested. This is not a time for long speech making, so let me acquaint you with the 10 proclamations in the extraordinary orders of the day, which the Supreme Council has promulgated. These will be modified as the situation improves. You are hereby warned that nothing, arson, homosexuality, rape, embezzlement, bribery or corruption, obstruction of the revolution, sabotage, subversion, false alarms and assistance to foreign invaders are all offenses punishable by death sentence. Demonstrations and unauthorized assembly, non-cooperation with revolutionary troops are punishable in grave manner up to death. Refusal or neglect to perform normal duties or any task that may be of necessity by local military commanders in support of the change will be punishable by a death sentence imposed by the local military commander. Spying, harmful or injurious publications, and broadcasts of troop movements or actions will be punishable by any suitable sentence deemed fit by the local military commander. Shouting of slogans, loitering and rowdy behavior will be rectified by any sentence of incarceration or any more severe punishment deemed fit by the local military commander. Doubtful loyalty will be penalized by imprisonment or any more severe sentence. Illegal possession or carrying of firearms, smuggling or trying to escape with documents, valuables, including money or other assets vital to the running of establishment, will be punished by a death sentence. Wavering or sitting on the fence and failing to declare open loyalty with the revolution will be regarded as an act of hostility, punishable by any sentence deemed suitable by the local military commander. Tearing down an order of the day or proclamation or other authorized notices will be penalized by death. This is the end of the extraordinary order of the day, which you will soon begin to see displayed in public. My dear countrymen, no citizen should have anything to fear, so long as the citizen is law-abiding, and if that citizen has religiously obeyed the native laws of the country and those set down in every heart and conscience since 1st October 1960. Our enemies are the political profiteers, the swindlers, the men in high and low places that seek bribes and demand 10%. Those that seek to keep the country divided permanently so that they can remain in office as ministers or VIPs at least. The tribalists, the nepotists, those that make the country look big for nothing before international circus. Those that have corrupted our society and put the Nigerian political calendar back by their words and deeds.
Telling them that, look, we are nearly completing the plan, but we cannot complete the 2% because we need the infrastructure set up. Because once the 2%, which is largely the blast furnace, once it's ignited, the blast furnace is to run for 18 to 25 years non-stop. That means many people say, why the Russians really wanted the Jaguar to work, why did they leave it at 2%, at 19%? It's because if they had started, we would have had a whole some damage. And for these 3 years, which was more than enough to have the infrastructure running, the roads, dredging. At that time, they even proposed the dredging of River Niger, but not one letter was responded, and they had to leave. It was a sad experience, they had to leave. It was more sad because, like I said, people like me, many Russians that came to Nigeria and got married to Nigerians, they were separated. My mother till today does not even have a Nigerian passport, even though my father wasn't working for it, but the rules were not so prevalent. So when we left, I will read now, in October, when the Russians left, and we had such huge debt to pay, they did not take Nigeria to court. They kept us sending letters of reminder. How are you going to pay this? But most importantly, they reminded Nigeria, if you are interested in continuing the completion of your plans, let us know. We would come back. All we have to is renegotiate. But what happened was, in October 1995, I'm going to read from this part because there are some key words I don't want to miss. Series of debt buyback transactions took place whereby debt instruments were sold at inflated prices to Liberian companies, purportedly owned by the Abachas. The two companies are called Parallel Shipping Corporation and Mecosta Securities. These are two companies that were registered in Liberia, and these are the two companies that bought the debts. Now, on one part, Parallel Shipping Corporation and Mecosta Securities, on one part, they were negotiating the reduction of that near $1 billion debt. And Russia waved away over 400 million. I said, you know what? A struggling country, a small country, just pay $500 million. Forget about the rest. While on the other hand, the Abacha administration told Nigeria that the Russians insisted on demanding funding beyond $1 billion, and apart from that, they were debts incurred upon the debt buyback. So that amounted to 2.5 billion. So that means 2.5 billion were taken from our reserve, while only 500 million was paid. So that is the debt buyback. 2014. The Egyptian government embarked upon a huge project to dualize the Suez Canal. And that Suez Canal, the presidency sold the idea so patriotically to the people that $8 billion was raised in 10 days. Mr. Speaker, these are facts. $8 billion was raised in 10 days from a country that has a population of just 91 million. They don't have individuals as rich as Nigeria. But what matters is leadership and the ability to connect to the people so that an average person on the street, the person roasting corn, the organizer, everybody will believe in this national dream and crime against Nigeria. And there is no court supposing this $525 million was actually an order of the greatest court on earth. Nigeria is a sovereign nation, and we decide to allow criminals or not to allow criminals into our land, whether they are nationals, Nigerians, or foreign. So, sir, it's actually Nigeria's duty to ensure that people who have committed crimes on this land are not holding our most precious assets. Also, we say that Ajakuta and Itakwe must not be privatized or possession, but be owned 100% by the federal government of Nigeria and operated alongside the original builders only in areas of technical expertise. And once there is an absolute transfer of technology, the Russians can go. We believe we have seen Nigerians around the world conducting amazing things in engineering, so there is no reason why they shouldn't. We would also like to appeal that this Honorable House asks to get the executive to assemble a team of economic experts to travel to Russia, which I'm speaking with regards to the bilateral agreement, which is still open, standing open. Because we believe that once a country or two countries come together and agree on a particular reason, then that is binding on the nations. It's upon meeting with President Putin that Nigeria can then begin to decide the way forward. And I also agree with the previous speakers that there has to be a redesign of the steel sector. Why a redesign? Because when I visited Russia 2 years ago and I spoke to the original builders, they told me that the plan upon which the Nigeria steel industry is built, it was designed in 1971 by the geological survey conducted by these same original builders. And they said by now, the advancement of technologies and innovation in the sector has caused the realization and usage of new materials which were ordinarily not known to them then. They also told me that we might be oblivious of the fact that Rolls-Royce today, the great Rolls-Royce, uses important alloys sourced from Kogi State, probably supplied by illegal miners. But that is why I say it is very important that we call them back to come to us another story. Because probably in the modernization and upgrade of the plant, there could be new sectors that are injected. So that new minerals can be incorporated. And I will say again that I know many will talk about why am I promoting Russia, why am I not promoting China and India. With due respect to every country's steel capabilities, the greatest steel plants in China today and 5 of the biggest steel plants in India, citing Reliance for the 12th consecutive year, has won the best steel plant in Asia was built by this same company. So why is a very big question. What has Russia done and why are we shying away from approaching the people who actually appreciate this dream for completion? Nigeria must be ready for sanctions. That's one thing I'm going to say. It's not easy to go against the Western Bloc. We must be ready for sanctions because at the end of the day, we must dream of a big, great Nigeria. Because for all it's worth, trade is always better than aid. Trade is always better than aid. Nigeria should position itself to be a country that will give other African countries aid. We should be the country that Ghana, Kenya, Somalia, Uganda, they run to for loans. Not all of us scrambling for loans from the Chinese.
And of course, we will try more to cultivate that culture in our people, while at the same time bringing the Fulanis in one fold and try to arrest their traditional practice of moving from one place to the other. And that is very big, an uphill task. But I think we can communicate with them more because to them they don't have borders from Cameroon to Nigeria.
But that's the thing, Excellency. How do we ensure that those who will be participating in this federal government largely funded program will be Nigerians?
In terms of the funding?
No, in terms of
the operations.
So it's bringing Fulanis together.
You see, the issue of misconception, I think there is a lot of mistrust and misconception with regards to the Fulani man. The Fulani man is a global or an African person. He moves from the Gambia, from Senegal, and his nationality is just a Fulani man. And as a person, I may have my relations in the Cameroon, but they are also Fulani men. I have relations because from the maternal side, I'm a Fulani man. And that is why we want to educate people. A Fulani man sees himself as a Bayelsa, as somebody coming from the Niger Delta, because he speaks the Niger Delta language, which you and I don't. And of course, we would have to just take this as part of our own heritage, something that is African, and that we cannot just close the border and say the Fulani man is just a Nigerian or this. No. In most cases, the crises are precipitated by those outside Nigeria. When there is a reprisal, it is not the Fulani man within Nigeria that causes it. It is that culture of getting revenge, which is embedded in the tradition of the Fulani man, that attracts the prison from all over the
If I understand, does that mean that those Fulani men who are maybe domiciled in other countries who move around, they can come into the country and this plan will accommodate them as well?
Yes, that's what we want to do. But it has to be done through sensitization, telling them you have to buy in the project, and you use the language, the culture itself to be able to convince them away from the mistrust where the whole system of transhumance or pastoralism is criminalized. Criminalization of pastoralism is the problem that we have with this project, and it requires people with passion who understand them and who they believe in, people like us from that part of the country, to say yes, we have this. Because today there is no limit to the accusation that this and that has happened and it is the blind man who caused it. There is no trial that is not that you don't have this criminality in, but certainly the way and manner we do it is really exacerbating the crisis and the problems.
Would there be any form of documentation of all the people that will be,
Yes, we are taking that. Oh yes, that's going to give Nigeria the opportunity to really have the best in terms of documentation in the demographics
Because, as I said, the black man settles anywhere he can feed his cattle. And so, if they are put in one place and they are made to understand that this is for to save them and their animals, they are exposed to the vagaries of the forest and what is going on, cattle rustling, killings, and what have you. And that's why it is important for them to understand that staying in one place is good. And of course, in terms of the best practice of carrying the meat, the cows and
let's do with that security angle for a bit. Is there going to be, this plan going to be fenced and closure where anyone who comes in is secured? So there's no one that can just come from anywhere else.
No. It is going to be a colony, and a colony does not require a fence.
You will understand the reason. You will understand the reason why people are concerned because of all the security issues that have been happening over time. So if that
These forests are there anyway. If you don't occupy them and create a colony out of them, they create places for the criminals. And today, that's why you have the Sambisa forest, because it's not being utilized.
But honestly, much as yes, I mean, they're fantastic. We have met a lot of them who are Fulanis as well. But the concern too is, why should federal government use resources for this country to accommodate Fulani men who are not Nigerians?
You see, as I said, we're already accommodating them. Do you delineate and then really know who is not a Fulani man from Nigeria? They are all Nigerians, because I said their identity, their own citizenship is Nigerian, even though we have relations all over the world, all over Africa. And so, presumably, they are Nigerians. I think that is the misunderstanding. They move from one place to the other, and they have relations, kids and kids in all the parts of the country and even outside the country. So that is why our own population is fluid. We can certainly not say this is the population of Nigeria.
So this issue.
The driver felt the wagon's tires rupture and decided to park the car with the hope of changing the tires. It was like a film. In a jiffy, motley crowd of armed men in military uniform came out of the bush. They fired at the boot of the car. Ahead of us, 5 of them came out of the bush. Another 2 came from the rear. My daughter screamed, "Mommy, Daddy, what's going on?" There was no time to say a word. They marched us through into the bush, firing into the sky. They hit me on my chest, hit my daughter on her head. Blood oozed. And this time it was better to kill me. I shouted at one of the armed men. His response was hell. He went straight to my private part, tore my dress with his gun. The others ripped my dresses. I was left with my undies. My husband and my daughter started crying. 2 of them dug their teeth into my breasts. While attending the secondary school in Adamawa, I had lived with
some Fulani, so I understood a few Fulani words. I started bleeding, at least for my daughter. To my shock, at one point, they removed the dress of my little girl. One of them carried her on his head as a baby, on his head as my baby was shouting, "Daddy, Mommy, what's going on? Help me!" I could not help myself. We marched for 9 hours. I was half naked. My daughter was totally naked. Her tears was like a stream of blood on her cheeks. Our phones had been seized. We ended up in an uncovered region in the thick of the forest. We met a well-organized group. There were some kidnapped victims. I saw 2 women, 2 ladies and 3 men. There were some people with their legs chained to trees. They were as if half dead. We were separated. I was separated from my husband. My daughter was taken away. I only heard her screaming intermittently. I did not know what they were doing to her. These men, now about 2 dozen, had a full kitchen. They had a huge camp and a traditional medical team. How can they say they don't know where these people are? How can they say that? But the camps appeared isolated from each other. We had noises afar, indicating it might be nuclear settlements of camps. Right in my presence, I saw them pack the remains of a woman. They took her and buried her a few meters away from us. She had tribal marks. I cannot describe the agony of 6 days in captivity in this little place. I cannot talk about how they asked my husband to choose between myself being raped or his daughter being raped. My husband broke down in uncontrollable tears. One of them hit him saying, "Yoruba bastard, you dey cry, idiot." They gave him an option that he should be raped by one homosexual among them. My husband, a devout Muslim. My husband is a devout Muslim. He told them that homosexual and rape of any kind was against Islam. He hit him with a pot of AK-47. What do you know about Islam? You can imagine, you are being asked to choose between being raped by a homosexual, your daughter, just 9 years old, wife being raped. They gave the 4th option. If you fail to choose one, we will rape your daughter, rape you, the man, and rape me, the wife. I made myself the sacrificial lamb. My husband begged, saying they should name any price. One of them asked him to bend down. 3 investigate criminals sat on his back, jumping until he was too weak to stand. I was not allowed to put on any additional clothes. Imagine they raped me all night and they stopped me from putting on any clothes for 24 hours. The rain fell once and became a relic and a sectional museum for the armed men who in turn addressed me and asked questions about my financial standing. New Fulani men joined the camp. They organized military training for the new Fulani men that came, teaching them how to shoot and walk through circles of glowing fire. They were not released until after 6 days. We were not released until after 6 days. We had to walk the same zigzag journey back to the main road, our eyes blindfolded. During the negotiation to pay, they said the money was not for them alone, that they had to settle those who sent them. For me, I see a thriving organized crime supported by powerful political interests. Now, I do not think we were released to freedom after paying a whopping 8 million naira. I do not think we can ever be free. We can
from the anguish, the psychological trauma, the nightmares we suffer, the occasional fits of my daughter, her waking up at night behaving strangely, her asking the same question over and over, Mommy, Mommy, why? Why? And I do not have an answer. In my life, I have never passed through a total chamber like this. I do not think any society should let this happen. I do not know the fate of those we met and about 7 other people brought during the 6 years we were in captivity. What I saw was a nation that has collapsed, but pretends she lives. A people on life support. Crime is not restricted to Fulani people alone. We have Yoruba criminals, but I don't think Yoruba criminals are these elements are savages. I can't imagine Yoruba kids going to Sokoto or Maiduguri to kidnap Fulani people and keep them in their own bushes. It gives me mental torture that this is happening, and some people are even trying to justify or look for excuses. Well, as a devout Muslim, myself and my family have taken solace in Allah. Not the Nigerian police, not the army, not the government. We have taken our faith the way it came, that our people is supposed to be faith. I thank God that we successfully returned to where we live thousands of miles from Nigeria. We thank God that we have made a vow. Never shall me, any of my children or husband in our lifetime visit Nigeria again. Our remains, anytime we die, we will also not be buried in Nigeria. Because the suggestion my daughter made, which we all adopted. I pity the country. I pity her people who continuously work like the living dead. I pity those who parade themselves as leaders because they know nothing about what is going on and at least the country is sunk already. I pity Yoruba people. Oh, I pity my people. For me, the issue is not about President Buhari. Democracy can produce anything, even the worst in the society. What I worry about is the conspiracy of silence by the people themselves, the ignorance, the treachery, and the illusion that one day things will get better through another election. Since I was born in Nigeria, each year had led from bad to worse and on and on. I do not have a solution to what is going on, but I think very soon hell will end this upon the earth as long as there is no law and order and anarchy and the rule of roots in the order of the day. Once again, there can never be anything more comforting than my husband, who saw what I went through, but was able to exchange me, to encourage me, and even encourage me to write his little piece after months of agony and sociological imbalance. Good night, Nigerians.
Fight on, great boys, fight on! Heroes of our fatherland! Pursue the enemy, harassment, destroy the invader. March on, great boys, now that victory is in sight. March on and hasten the disintegration of the enemy already set in motion.
Fighting a war, knowing the difficulties, the consequences, there is an element of prejudice. If the world chooses to abandon us, it's rather perish. They do not consider a Biafra not free. They believe in either Biafra free or no Biafra at all. That means none of us to see it.
I think Biafra, we need Biafra, we need Biafra. But this, I
decided even to die that Biafra was one. I want us to work systematically towards the establishment of a good, progressive, and democratic society where all vestiges of privilege and social injustice will be abolished, and the rich contribute more to the welfare of the poor. If civil war comes, and I do think it is imminent, the quite right, it will for us be the price of freedom. Our people here have for a long time been prepared for this eventuality, and I am confident of their readiness. I think that when it does come, the people on the other side will be surprised as to what they're going to get. And I'm confident that it will not last long.
We surely come out as a nation because our fighting just come. Even a little child on the street will tell you this now. We shall never go back to Nigeria again. God's grace will surely emerge as a nation. And so, as far as this war continues, we'll fight to the last man.
This is what Biafra is, the end of the journey for a persecuted, massacred, besieged people. We have all attempts at a democratic resolution of this crisis. I have offered open elections, plebiscite. I have offered just an open carte blanche suggestion to anybody who can find a democratic way of finding out the wishes of the people that we suggested, and we will go for it.
Nigerian government have never benefited anything to be as a citizen of this country. And teacher, when I was in the Algeria, let me tell you something, Algeria, Jeanette, and the state called Jeanette in Algeria. They arrest us in desert and was like to escape through desert with Europe. That was happened. They take us to their class, to their prison, after judging us, they take us to their prison. And teacher, you know the way to keep us. And teacher, they treat me as if I'm in my father's house. In the morning, they will give me rice. In the afternoon, they will give me. In the night, they will give me tea and bread. The next day, they will give me tea in the morning. In the afternoon, they will give me chicken, small chicken. We have made Nigeria and made it. And so when we are there, they ask us, which work will you like to learn? I learned Bama, Nigerian prison, Jeanette. I learned how to have hair, 6 months when I was here. The day the Muslims said to us they want to deport us back to Nigeria, I was crying. I was telling them, say, no, looking for this is prison. I said, I'm asking me to make this prison, please. They said, no. They said, no, you must come back to our country. One of us was crying. Many people are heading for the job. Many people are learning how to prepare the job. This freedom of God, that prison. I think if you see me, I fall. If you see my friend, I say, God, in that prison, I'm living like a king. I think the people need to travel and see that we claim in our own country. We are traveling in Nigeria. I pray until that government.
I've lost him. Someone said to me that he traveled through the desert and he was arrested in Tunisia, in Nigeria, and he said he was put in prison. Well, he said he was put in a place where they stored asylum, illegal migrants or something like that.
Okay.
And He told me, and his best experience was the food. He said it was how they were fed. He said they were fed. He said that he drank the given milk every day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's a prison in Venice. There's a prison in Venice. The prison has a job system where the prisoners create cosmetics. So you go to school, you learn how to make cosmetics, and the prison makes cosmetics for some of the top Venice hotels. So you go to a restaurant, you go to a hotel where you're paying $2,000, $3,000 a night, and your cosmetics, your
It's
soap,
made by prisoners?
is made by prisoners.
tó jẹ́ ọmọ Yorùbá. The Yorùbá indigene. Mo fẹ́ bá yín sọ̀rọ̀. I want to talk to you all. Mo ti fẹ́ kẹ́ gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ tí bàbá yín sọ. And I want you to listen and accept what I'm about to say. Wọ́n náà ti gba abúlé yín, wọ́n ti gbà tán. I said they are already usurping you from your villages all over Yorùbá state. Ní Ogun state. In Ogun state. Ọ̀ṣun state. Ọ̀ṣun state. Ondo state. Ondo state. Anambra state. Even Anambra. Gbogbo àwọn ilẹ̀ Igbo wọ̀nyẹn. Even the Igbo lands as well. Àwọn wọ̀nyí ti pọ̀. People are already entering those places. Wọ́n dẹ̀ ti gba gbogbo ẹ̀. And they are already overtaking you people in your various states. Èyí tá à ń sọ yìí. What we are saying right now. Kì í ṣọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀sìn o. This is not about religion. Christian. Whether you're a Christian. Muslim. Or you're a Muslim. Àwọn adájọ́ ọmọ Yorùbá. And we are Yorùbá traditional worshippers. Àsìkò tá a gbọ́dọ̀ kó ẹ̀sìn wa papọ̀ ni. This is time we must band together. Láti jà fún àwọn ilẹ̀ bàbá wa. To fight for our fathers so that they don't overtake us. Ẹ má jẹ́ kó fi ẹ̀sìn gba ilẹ̀ wa o. Don't let them use religion take over our land. Gbogbo abúlé kan gbà lóńdó state yẹn. All those villages they are taking over in Ondo state. Wọ́n pa Muslim, wọ́n pa Christian. When they wanted to kill, they killed Christian and Muslim alike. Ilẹ̀ náà jà fún kìí ṣe ẹ̀sìn. They are fighting for the land, they are not fighting for religion. Ẹ̀sìn náà kàn bá wọlé o. They are just coming through the lens of religion. Mo sọ fún ẹ̀ mọ Yorùbá. But I'm telling you all Yorùbá. Ẹ múra o. Please be prepared. Gbogbo ọmọ Nàìjíríà. Nigerians are bad. Ẹ múra dáadáa. Please be well prepared. Wọ́n má bàa gba ilẹ̀ yìí o. So that they don't take you away from your father's land. Wọ́n á rí gbogbo àwọn lọ́balọ́ba. And calling unto the royalities in Yorùbá land. Ọ̀ọ́ni ọ̀fífẹ́. The imperial majesty. Kábíyèsí kádé pẹ́ lórí rẹ̀. Kábíyèsí we greet you sir. Ẹ dá sí o. Please talk about this. Aláàfin tuntun tó ṣẹ̀ jẹ́ ẹ dá sí o. You Aláàfin please talk about it. Ẹ̀yin ọba Ondo ẹ dá sí o. Kings in Ondo state. Ẹ̀yin ọba Ọ̀ṣun Ọ̀yọ́ Lagos state ẹ dá sí o. The kings in Lagos Ọ̀yọ́ Ọ̀ṣun please talk about it. Tókùn yẹn bá wọlé tán. Because when the war overwhelms us, apá òbí ká o. We will not be able to do anything about it. Èmi mo rẹ́ẹ̀dì ogun. Personally I'm ready for war. Mo sọ fún ìjọkí náà ló mú ní kẹ́ntìrà. I told you the last time that you should fortify yourself. Àwọn kan sọ pé báwo ni pásítọ̀ máa lọ bí
Some people will say, why would a pastor utter that kind of statement?
Ẹ lọ dira o.
Please go and fortify yourself.
Tó bá yá màá gbé báìbù mi sílẹ̀.
Because when war comes, I will drop my Bible.
Màá jà fún ìlú bàbá mi.
I will go and fight for my father's land.
Báwo ni Christian dé Nàìjíríà?
When did Christianity come into Nigeria?
1842.
It came in 1842.
Ló ṣe dé Nàìjíríà.
That was when it came in.
Ẹni àkọ́kọ́ tó máa kó báìbù jọ.
And the first person to compile the Bible,
Williams lórúkọ ẹ̀.
His name is Williams.
Wọ́n pa ní on the 6th.
They killed him on the 6th.
1536.
1536.
Wọ́n dáná sun.
They burnt him. He was
lynched.
lynched.
Báìbù tá n ká yìí.
The person that compiled the Bible for us.
So ẹ má jẹ́ àfi ẹ̀sìn wọ inú afẹ́jà fún ẹ bàbá
So
wọn.
don't let us put religion into our culture or for fight for our father's land. I will fortify myself.
Aṣíwájú ogun.
And I will be a leader.
Wọ́n tó tètè dira fún ènìyàn.
And if you can fortify people, fortify them.
A máa dira máa jagun náà.
We will fight that war.
Màá gbé báìbù sílẹ̀.
I will drop my Bible.
Nítorí ilẹ̀ bàbá mi.
Because of my father's land.
Tẹ̀bí bẹ́ẹ̀ sọ.
Because the Bible says it.
Hebrews 6 verse 1.
Hebrews 6 verse 1.
Ó ní ká fẹ́ conspiracy.
It says set aside the teachings of Christ. And let us do what is for
Ẹni àkọ́kọ́ fi ti Kristi náà.
We will now put it
Ká
aside.
lọ jà fúnlẹ̀ bàbá wa.
Let's fight for our father's land.
Ká máa sọ pé kí Jésù ràn wá lọ́wọ́.
And we tell Jesus to help us.
Ó ràn wá lọ́wọ́.
To help us in the work for our father's land.
Ohun tá a máa ṣe nìyẹn o.
That's what we are going to do.
Nígbà tó mú Jésù Kristi.
When Jesus was caught,
Ọmọlẹ́yìn ẹ̀kọ́ fa ìdájọ́.
a disciple drew out his sword.
À ń pè ní Pétérù.
His name is Peter.
Ó bẹ́ etí ẹnìkan sílẹ̀.
He cut off the ear of one of the soldiers.
Ó bẹ́ etí ẹ̀
He
sílẹ̀.
cut off the ear of one of the
Jésù
soldiers.
ní rárá.
Jesus said no.
Tí ìdá rẹ̀ bọ̀ ní àkọ́.
Keep your sword back in the shirt.
Jésù ní tó bá yá o.
That when the time comes,
Ẹni tó ní aṣọ kó lọ tà á.
if you have a clothes, go and sell it.
Ẹni tó ní bàtà kó lọ tà á.
When the time comes, if you have sandal, you will sell
Ẹ
it.
lọ sí Luke 22
Go to
kó lọ tà á.
Luke 22.
So ẹ má fi lè bàtà yìí sílẹ̀ o.
Please don't leave the things of your father and the land of your
Christian sọ
father.
pé kí n má
Christianity does not stop me from fighting for my father's rights. So if you're Yoruba indigene, don't just hold your head. Don't let them take over our father's land from us. God will help us. Our ancestors would help us. I'm just a messenger of most high. And this morning is a message for Ndị Igbo. Ndị Igbo ọgọkọrịa kpọọ ọgọrịa ndị ọgọrịa Igbo ọgọrịa gboo ya ndị ya ndị gboo o wesịpụzie n'agha na-abịa o nwere onye nwe ike iwepụ agha anụnwa n'agha na-abịa ọkwapụ mara nwa wee jikere na agha anụnwa na-abịa nwere nwanne mmụọ enwere so biko ụmụnne m jikere nkwado ka nke dị 1966 bibido ndị kwalitere biko onye nụkwa ya onye chọrọ ebe ya mụta onye chọọ ya nwere ebe o nwere ndị na-asị na nna anyị ala anakwụkwọ anyị ala ọ bụ ozi ka n'eti nna nna anyị ba etu ndụ kawa ụmụ ozi o si uzie ndị Naijiria as a whole Nigerians mara ama nọ na ọchịchị tata enwezi direction ma mazi ebe a na-eme ka nke a bụrụ ihe mmụta dịrị unu.
The chairman is wrong. Nigeria will never be one party state. That's not a democracy. It's wrong to have allowed Atiku to succeed. And it will be one Fulani after the other. You see the Fulani is killing people across the country. They want to.
I want us to be careful of the use of words. In generalize.
Allow me to use my words, please.
No, I'm saying it's a national.
Be very careful.
And there are good people.
I am speaking about national security. What is the national security issue? Yeah. There is a war on. You want to pretend there's no war. There's a war on.
I'm only saying that a
lot of you journalists are part of the problem. Who don't want to address the truth? The war on. What are you saying? You're not pretending. People are being killed everywhere. You're saying there's no war. What do you mean you're not pretending? You are. You are part of the problem in this country. Allow us to speak the truth so that people will know what's going on. People in the Benue cannot go to farm. People in Plateau cannot stay in their house. Those who are responsible for the war simply want to turn Nigeria into a settler colonial entity. And that's what's going on. You don't see that. You're seeing the politics. Forget about the politics. There is a real problem in the country. People are not sleeping at night. Even in daytime, our farmers cannot go to farms. They have food security problem. Why? The foreign war across West Africa has finally entered in Nigeria. And you don't want me to talk about it. Who are you afraid of? Who will hear it and will die? It's the problem the country has gone wrong. Because a lot of you keep quiet. I'm aware of this. Please. When we have a problem like this, serious national security issue, we must speak to it. Pretend it doesn't exist. It does exist.
I am the Deputy Jesus. You can call me Professor Black and White and Perpendicular Bisector. Now I told you I go to historical places. I travel to bring fact and evidence to you. Today I'm in Onitsha, Okaro precisely. I want to let you know that the civil war is not a fiction. It is not caused by moonlight. It is real. And evidence and fact shows it. Here, since 1967 to 70, 3 years of war, the evidence is still on the ground. And I want you to know, as we celebrate the Biafra Day, for all the past heroes, may their soul rest in peace. Yes, ma'am. Including those who died on Igbo, my hometown. I want all of them may their soul rest in peace, and may the best of what they died for come towards the remaining. Same. You can see. One thing about this building is the strength of the wall. That despite all the piercing, the wall still remains standing. You can see. Not today when they use one bag of cement, then more 60 blocks. The bricks are still strong. Very strong. The roots are still standing. the woods that are used for iron bars, you can see that still standing 50 years after the Civil War. Everything here still standing strong.
You're quite right. It will for us our people here have for a long time been prepared for this eventuality, and I am confident of their readiness. I think that when it does come, the people on the other side would be surprised as to what they're going to get. And I'm confident that it will not last long. I can say for certain what Lagos has got. When we lost direct contact with Lagos, they had some 4 battalions ill-equipped, and I know that they have been purchasing a lot of arms since, and I know that they have negotiated and received a few armored vehicles. Prior to that, they had some stout cars. I know they have tried to get planes. I am not sure they have got them there. But on our side, we too have not been sitting quiet. There has been quite a lot of build-up. And I think what I have here is sufficient to maintain the integrity of Biafra and the more.
Before the terrorists would come, the Nigerian military would come and disarm local population first. They would disarm the local population before the. In fact, what my friends in the Middle Belt have told me is that they have learned that once the military come around searching house to house to disarm local population, even take their damn guns, they know that the Fulanis are not behind. That is the level of complicity that is.
None of them have been vindicated.
It's not just you. Somebody came to national TV, Commodore Lawi. You don't see spokes, military spokes, you don't have spies, you don't see them in daytime. That's not somebody you find on national TV. But the man was sufficiently alarmed by our security circumstances that he sat down in the TV channel and the TV station of channels, and he said it on national TV that there are Boko Haram sponsors sat in the president's cabinet, and he had submitted a list of these persons to the president since 2016, and nothing had happened. And we're still talking about a suspicion. It's no longer suspicion. Kawu Baraje, yes, came out in 2022, I think. It was his 70th birthday. And he came out and he told everybody who came to listen that they were the ones who imported Fulani terrorists into Nigeria in the lead up to the 2015 election. And that they harmed these persons that they had brought into Nigeria from 5 different Sahelian countries. He said so. He's on record. Look, my friend, Dr. Stanley Kavwan, is the National Public Secretary of the Middle Belt Forum. He was, I think, on Arise the other day, where he said categorically, and he wasn't the first to say it, that there is a base, a militant base, terrorist base in the tri-state area, Nasarawa, Benue, and Plateau. That base is known to each and every one of our security services. that base is sometimes reinforced and resupplied by helicopters in this country, and nothing has ever happened. So we're don't let's be talking about. It's no longer about suspicion. It's not a theory. The fact, we should be able to call it what it is. The fact is that the Nigerian state has turned against its own citizen and is passing.
What pains me most is that these people told us that they are going to bring, after buying enough weapons, they'll bring all those that have been put in disarray, but driven away from Zamfara, Katsina, Zambisa forest, that they are all coming to locate themselves in Igbo land, that there's no security in Igbo land, that they will come there and then they will deal with us. And that the young man was just sleeping, maybe he took something. He said, "Do you know Ibadan, Lagos Expressway? We are in all the bush there. We're everywhere there. We're also in the south. So we are waiting for the slightest signal. We will finish it and take over this land." So they claim that Nigeria belongs to Fulani. They said that is why we are afraid of. I've been talking about this open grazing and this okay. They have a plan. And I accuse the soldiers who are non-Christians. Some of them are Fulani. They are part of it. But they are shooting this man. When our people wanted to come the bush, the soldiers said, "If you move a step, we finish you. Don't go there." So they know where the boys are. They know the location. And what they do is in the daytime, they use their cow to confuse people. Then, after some time, the cows will go to rest and they take their gun and do the operation of kidnapping. Government should act decisively. They should act decisively. Otherwise, what is happening in the northern part of the country will be a child's play to what will happen here. So government should sit up, because the primary purpose of government is to secure life and profit. Any government that has failed in that has failed woefully. And Nigeria is on a reverse gear. We are nosediving. We are nosediving. We don't have security. All the bush went around, no soldier, no police, nothing. The people, were having a field there. And the way they release those was, if they kidnap people along the squatter, they will parade them, and then when they pay ransom, they are released from that particular spot. Those they arrest, they kidnap along the expressway, Lord Banda. They bring them, eventually they bring them there to collect ransom. Those they kidnap along anywhere in the south, around the southeast. So they know that they are there. And I get that when I said to the owner, "How do you collect this money?" He said, "Don't worry. Once we are through with you, we will invite motorcyclists. They will come and there will be a truck. The truck will come to put the money in the truck." And that the people who paid them said that was exactly what happened. Immediately they came out from the bush. They told them they were monitoring whether there's police armed. They said, "Go up. Okay, come back, come this way. And then eventually they stopped. A truck came without number. So the boys will carry one Ghana Mondo who put in the truck until they took the 100,000. After they have calculated 100 million, they said, "Okay, you can."
Fulani Osun, Fulani Ekiti, Fulani Sokoto, Fulani Katsina, Fulani Kaduna, Fulani Plateau, Fulani Benue, Fulani Taraba. Are you the only tribes in Nigeria?
something like profiling of the people. I'm a Fulani man. I'm a grandfather of 8 grandchildren. And we just have to speak the truth. The Bible says you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. As long as we continue to glouse over the truth, we will never get the answer. And I want to say this to our security men. Until justice is done, there will never be a solution. If you get a Fulani man that is a killer, deal with him as a killer. If you get a Yoruba man that is a killer, deal with him as a killer. And this will come to an end. But you don't give certain people advantage over other tribes. I respect the people that have hosted me, even though I am an indigene of Plateau State, because I was born here. My children are grown up. I have 8 grandchildren. But yet we respect the people we meet on ground. In Maiduguri, my hometown, the people that come to meet us respect us. When the Boko Haram thing started in Maiduguri, it was us, the indigenous, the people, the Kanoris, who came together and said, this thing is among us. And then we started getting on, and then we raised the civilian GTF. That was how Boko Haram was dealt with. Kanuri man will bring his own children and say, Gashina Inachi Boko Haram. And that was how we dealt with it. Miyachi Allah Association, 80% of the responsibility of the genocide. So you have the 80% answer. Because if Miyachi Allah says this genocide will stop, it's not herders and farmers clashes. Intentional genocide, terrorism, and that will stop. It will stop. I'm not happy to move as a Fulani man and my tribe is in profile. My children, when they travel out and Fulani, here Fulani, there Fulani, I am a proud Fulani man. I am a proud Kanuri man. It's just like when Boko Haram started. We're not proud of it. Why should it be from Borno State? But then we decided to fight it. I am here to say, Nigeria, we are not honest to ourselves.
The leading candidates are concerned. They are all Yorubas. But why is there any candidate that does not contest on the platform that people support? They were competing with the Igbos. Who is the Igbo man that wants to be the governor of Lagos? Who is the Igbo man that is going about grabbing people's land? I have clients and debating that are Yorubas. It is Yoruba people that are grabbing their land. Let us stop this politics that we are playing, deceiving ourselves. We cannot change Nigeria without being honest. This tribalism is meant to keep APC in power. And I'm speaking as someone that has documented hatred for PDP. So you cannot say I'm speaking because, and by the way, when they say Igbo, why do you put some of us? And from my Bible, I don't speak Igbo. I've never lived in Igbo land. I'm a proud Igbo man. But when you look at me, what do you see? Nigeria has an Igbo problem. And we have to be honest about it. Nigeria has another problem on the Civil War. Nigeria was not there over. And please, in summary, the solution to the issue is rule of law. Everybody should be subjected to the law. When you violate the law, you should be treated as someone that has violated the law. The law should not look at you as a Yoruba man. The law should not look at you as the other man. The law should not look at you as a Muslim or a Christian. Let us be honest in ourselves. Change is not in mind for the person.
fought that more often. We're not fighting each other. We know where we're going. We're going to get Biafra. There is nothing anybody can do about it. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. I need them to understand this. We've crossed the Rubicon, the point of no return. There is nothing anybody can do. If I'm alive, if I'm dead, if I'm wherever I may be, Biafra will come. If I'm dead, it's even better because it will come far more quicker. I can assure you. If Biafra is fighting for you, no one will touch your property. If you're fighting alone, you're bound to lose it. So Biafra is the best. We will become the 16th member country record. If Nigeria doesn't release those properties, then we'll take them to court and we'll get them back. Even twice the value. The Jews had investments all over the world. Most of the priceless artifacts and paintings belong to many families in Germany. It was stolen by the Nazi Party. Do you know that? Eventually they got everything back with compensation on top of it. That's what we're going to do. If you touch our investments, we'll come back for you. And we'll know where we can get it from. So there is nothing for anyone to worry about. It's only if I'm not stopping you from being a Nigerian, if you are born on the streets of Lagos and you want to be a Lagosian and your name is Adamma, oh well and good. There's no problem.
We need peace, we choose freedom. We need peace, we choose freedom. There was a nation living in peace and unity. Yeah. They are people with love and harmony. Oh, yeah. They saw greatness rise up to its purity. With another people of different culture, ideal heritage, bias and oppressive. Oh, I see. A nation from trigger of Africa, rising with strength and might and power. In due time, nobody gonna praise us. Rather, you all gonna embrace her. With your flag, with your flag, with your flag, with your flag. Oh, yeah. Let the tears of our mothers who lost their children be heard. Let the blood of our heroes speak from now till forever. Let the whole wide world know Biafra is our home. Oh yeah, Biafra is our home. Oh, it's my home. Yeah, Biafra is our home.
I reminisce way back 1967. Death toll on the blood couldn't count them even. Mama screaming, child squealing, pops on the ground. 2.5 years, over 3 million's gone. Why? Cause we asked for our freedom, and we're going back to our sovereign kingdom. They shut us down when we cried, the world said nothing. Sitting back in the crib, watching our suffering. Should I talk about the planes dropping shells like rain? Suka had the first taste of a hero's blood. Abagana Zobuni wave was stronger than flood, but the juke is too strong and fought them off on the chart. Thought the bloodshed's gone, then it came again. 216 and the massacre, it started again. So bloody name, I couldn't cry tears. Blood dripping down my eyes, water in my veins. We died trying to fight the cause and we're trying to break him. It's our freedom, but the world was against us.
Wave your flag over Africa. Welcome people of Biafra. Wave your flag over all the world. See those people of Zion is here.
It is the nation that the Lord has chosen for the people of Zion. It is the nation that the Lord has chosen for the people of Zion.
We need peace, we choose freedom. We need peace, we choose freedom. Yeah. Let the tears of our mothers who lost their children be heard. Let the blood of our heroes speak from now till forever. Let the whole wide world know Biafra is our home.